The Red Wing Iron Ranger is arguably the most famous, most iconic, most popular heritage boot of all time. They come in at a price range about $300 to $350, especially for the Iron Rangers, but not everybody can afford a $350 heritage boot. And so occasionally you hear people talking about buying a fake from different countries at a lot more affordable price, but are you actually getting Red Wing quality for a fraction of the price? Or is it actually a pretty decent deal? If you don't want to spend $350, can you buy a fake and get the same point across, or at least most of the features at a much more affordable price? Can you justify using a fake if you're only going to use it a few times a year? And more importantly, how much do they steal and how much is identical to the OG Iron Rangers? So what is this boot? Well, they are allegedly Red Wings, but they're not. The style is Red Wing Fry boots. I guess they call them Red Wing Fry boots to try to get like the SEO. But on the tag, they say they are 8111s, which I believe is the Auburn harness version of this. They weigh a very light 1 pound, 2 ounces compared to how much these weigh. And they retail for 1.85 million Vietnamese dongs, or 73-ish dollars, but they were currently on sale when old Stridewise picked these up for only a small 750,000 dongs, which is about 30 bucks USD. And they were made in, let's see if it even says on the tag. It says they're made in USA, but
the lie detector determined that was a lie.
Stridewise got these from Vietnam, so they're made in Vietnam. And the way they position this product is, there's no positioning because it's just a knockoff. So now start seeing what's what. Is it real leather? Or is it the same qualities? Is there anything that resembles the Red Wing quality on the inside? Or is it all just a fake facade for 30 bucks? Well, it is real leather. You know, I was actually really surprised that they were able to make a leather boot for 30 bucks. It's not very good leather, but it's honestly not bad leather at all. Like, I was kind of surprised, like, for $30, this is better than Portland leather. You know, some of these brands were like, we use premium leather, and they sell them for like, there's really cheap leather, they sell for like 150 bucks. This $30 boot is better than half those really cheap brands. You know, you can see there's a lot of creasing, rolling, folding, but it does have a lot of pull-ups. It's fairly thick, about 2.2 to 2.5 millimeters thick. And so really this leather is what you'd see in about a $100 boot and up. So already looking good for the fakes. Red Wing might be in trouble. We burned it, no fake plastic on top. We looked at the cross section, plenty of grain still left in there. We did the puncture test and it performed pretty well at 110 pounds. And so overall, honestly, not a bad leather at all. Even for like a $100 boot or $120 boot, that's a pretty decent leather. The boot breaker system has been the surprise success of all the products that we launched this year. And I think it's because it was needed. You know, I think people really, really needed this thin little 2mm bit of foam that just helps you break in your boots, adds a little bit of squish to your heritage boots without changing your size, without destroying any of the value that you get from a heritage boot, and somehow nobody did it. And because of that, we expanded out into some leather boot breakers, because people are like, make it out of leather. So we could do that, we got the dies. People are like, we want a thicker one. And I was like, I do too, actually, because like I could use a little thicker one. And then people are like, we want an even thicker one. Give us a big old mattress to put in our boots. And I was like, we could probably find it, and you're in luck because we sourced this thick mattress of an insole. If you want tons of squish in your shoes or boots, or you want to take up a ton of room and have a lot of squish, if you want to run like a little thin leather insole on top of a lot of squish, you can combine the two. And that's kind of been the fun of the boot breaker system, is it's half driven by what you guys want and what you see is needed. Because honestly, I thought this was the only thing we were going to launch, and now we've launched 3 different thicknesses of leather and now 3 different thicknesses of foam, because they seem to be useful. And I think sometimes when it comes to product design, simplicity rules overall. Sometimes you just don't need to overdo it. Sometimes there's a simple need in the market, and that's exactly what the boot breakers were. So check them out below, check out the new super thick daddies, and add some squish to your life, add a little heritage to your life, and check them out below. But if you start looking at the inside, that's where this boot starts to differ from the OG Iron Rangers, because these don't have a dedicated counter cover. The fakes do, and it looks like leather, but it's fake leather. And just like the original Iron Rangers, it is lined only in the vamp, but instead of this twill canvas, it's like some like leftover really thick green canvas. I'm willing to bet it's from some other project. They're like, that's close enough, just throw it in these boots, because it's not nearly the quality that Red Wing uses. And it also looks like it has a veg tan insole, just like the regular Red Wings, but if you touch it, there's plenty of foam underneath. Yeah, let's pull it out. Yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, I pulled a few chunks of the foam off, but it wasn't even glued in the forefoot. It's just a little strip of glue that someone just splashed on there, slapped it in there. It does look like real veg tan though. I don't know if it is or not. We'll see when we get it cut in half, because it might be fake leather. No, let's just do it right now. Let's do a little burn test. A little impromptu burn test. See what's what. What's your guess? Fake or real? It's fake. That's a good fake veg tan. Wow. Look how real it looks. Like, look at the print on the heel. That is a really good fake veg tan. But underneath that, you can see it's just a really cheap, basically compressed cardboard, but it's the type of material that they use, just a bunch of loose fibers, whether it's cardboard, whether it's leftover junk from like garment manufacturing, leather particles. It's kind of a all-in-one recycled junk that they lay into sheets and then cut for material like that, because it's basically just gathering all the garbage and making a material out of it. So it's as cheap as humanly possible to make a material for that. So not looking good. What about the way it's constructed? Because it looks like a Goodyear welt. You can see the stitching all the way around. It looks like a 360 Goodyear welt, where the Red Wings are just a 270 with a nailed heel. And one of the easiest ways to tell if it's Goodyear welted is if you can pull the upper waist slightly, and if you see any stitching, that tells you it is Goodyear welted, or at least it's stitched somewhere internally. But if you just see a lot of glue, it's more likely that it's not Goodyear welted, and for 30 bucks, I'm willing to bet that this is not Goodyear welted. And even the welt is a fake welt. It's a synthetic leather, whereas the real Red Wings are real leather. And even the last shape, if you look at the shape of this is not that military-inspired last that Red Wing uses on these boots. It's more of a dress last. And they did do a really good job of replicating the sole, because it says it's Vibram. It's clearly not Vibram, it's a knockoff. It says it resists oil, no mark. But this is clearly fake, and this, I'm willing to bet that stitch line is fake too. That probably provides no value. I don't see any nails in the heel, so I bet that stitch line is fake too. And even the outsole itself, it feels really soft and squishy. This whole boot is kind of that way. So far, it started off with a lot of hope for this boot. It looked like it was good leather. Maybe you can get a really budget-friendly pair of Red Wings for 30 bucks. But then literally every other component we looked at is garbage. So let's cut them in half, see if there's anything redeeming on the inside, or if it's just garbage through and through. Okay, we got it cut in half. Let's find out if you can get any sort of quality for over 1 million Vietnamese dongs. So let's see what's inside. So basically exactly like we expected. Part for part, you can see the Vibram outsole is fake. It has the voids all over the place, especially in the forefoot. Obviously the Vibram still has voids, which is really common in the heel, but really rare in the forefoot. And there's voids in most heels to reduce the weight, give it a little bit of squish, as long as there's some structure on top to compress it equally. Whereas this, it's just like, you got the shank and lots of voids. And oh, that looks dangerous. I probably have to take that out. There's like a needle sticking out of there. It's not a needle, it's just where I cut the shank, but these shanks get sharp. Look at that. So this shank cut like it wasn't metal, and so it's a really cheap shank. Whereas the Iron Rangers have a triple rib shank. It's cork filling in the Iron Rangers, where this has just got junk filling, some compressed cardboard, some of that really recycled junk that they throw in some really cheap boots. The Red Wings have a leather board counter, where these just have a cheap fabric counter basically. And then obviously the biggest one that surprised me was this insole's fake veg tan. I thought for sure it was gonna be real veg, because it looks so similar to what a real veg tan looks like. And obviously there's foam underneath, but I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that you're gonna be standing on veg tan, because that's what really makes the Iron Rangers what they are. They're an affordable, true heritage boot. Your foot's fully wrapped in leather. It's a big, thick veg tan leather insole right underneath your foot that compresses the shape of your foot. And so they clearly try to simulate that with even fake leather. And so really the only component that is even decent in this boot at all is the leather. And that's kind of a shock to me. For 30 bucks, you can get decent leather, but the problem with every other component being garbage is I'm willing to bet I can just tear this apart easily with not a lot of effort. So versus all the stitching, all the glue, all the nails, all that holding together, the higher quality materials, the more durable materials, the longer lasting materials, you lose all the benefits you get from a heritage boot. And one of the most iconic heritage boots, as soon as you start dipping down into this quality price range, starting to buy the fakes, and that's what it is. With these brands, these companies that are selling these fakes, they're not selling quality footwear. They're trying to sell their garbage under the banner and under the name and the goodwill that brands like Red Wing have built over decades. And for certain things, I kind of get it. If you're, let's say, hype sneakers, they're like $1,000 and they're like a $90 Nike sneaker, and you're like, I just want to buy a fake because I'm not paying $1,000, but I want the look. I get it. But when it comes to some of these more like handmade stuff that's especially made in the United States. And unlike sneakers where there's no intrinsic value, these have intrinsic value. And so it's a completely different dynamic to me. But that's very hypocritical. And it's just my personal stance. There's gonna be a lot of people that's like, I like all fakes. There's gonna be a lot of people like, I hate all fakes. And I think there's an argument to be made either way. But at the end of the day, anybody that's using someone else's brand, anyone that's using someone else's tag, lying on the tag, and being deceitful, garbage across the board. We've basically seen it. Anytime someone's being deceitful in any way, their boot reflects it, just like this. So stay away from the fake boots. Go watch our other fake sneaker videos and a couple of the other fake boot videos. We've got a Wolverine one coming up as well. So thank you guys for all your support and helping us show you what to buy and maybe what to avoid. So thank you guys. See ya.